it was like being the whole family were involved. Is it still fresh in the memory?
Oh, it's a topic, David, I'd never get sick of talking about. Is it fresh in the memory? Yeah, of course it is. It's 22 years on and it's as fresh as any memory can be that's that old. But like, I can remember he was number 13. I can remember looking at that in the paper that morning in the Moat House and thinking, Jesus, with Katie, 13, like what chance have we got? That's the innocence of youth, isn't it? And then, price-wise tipped him. He tumbled all the way from 40, sitting in the old Wareham in Aintree. He was the only ride I had in the card. And, grandstand was on for the whole day and Papillon is tumbling down the prices. And I went out to ride him and Dad just, we had a plan which was simple to the first fence, just get a good start and then see what happens after you jump the first. So the only instructions were to ride him like the horseman you are. And yeah, I can remember it then pretty much clear as day, every step of the way. Miko's Dream and Bobby Joe left and right and we go to the first fence. Miko's Dream falling, Bobby Joe clouted the Fine Avon and I went by him. I can remember so much of that race and it was just an unbelievable experience.
That's quite impressive now, I have to say. Now, obviously, your dad is back with a leading contender this year in Any Second Now. If he wasn't your father, would he be the one you'd be riding in the race if you're still riding?
If he wasn't my father, but he is my father, and blood is thicker than water, and they're the facts of it. I think Any Second Now is a great chance. I do. Obviously, he's up in the weights, and he has to physically carry more weight than he did last year. Look, he had the I suppose the bad luck that you can have in a Grand National. The horse thought Johnny Burke was riding, fell in front of him at the 12th, and it was significant interference to suffer in a race that's now hard to get back into. So I thought he did well to finish third in the race. He seems to have had a good prep. He's had a couple of runs. You'd have to be pleased with his effort in the Bobby Joe chase the last day. But you'd also have to respect the horse that he just beat, and that's Ascaria 10. Who looks to have had a really good prep for this race as well. I think Longhouse Poet coming out of the Tayestes, that's always a good form guide. He's one you'd have to have on your shortlist. Delta Work needs a class horse of the race, and you'll know your fate with him if he's travelling like he was after jumping 4 fences in the cross-country race. If he replicates that in the Grand National, he's the one they're all going to have to beat. And I actually like Fiddler on the Roof. I love the way Fiddler on the Roof has the pace to travel, and I think Brendan Powell will have a brilliant ride on him. I think there's five horses up there towards the top of the market, David, that anybody would love to be riding.
It's quite interesting there. You mentioned, 5 horses there, but amongst those quintet was not a Willie Mullins trained horse. Do you think Burrow Saint is probably the best of Willies? And you're obviously probably a little bit worried about his stamina after last year, are you?
I am. I mean, you have to, especially, form is form. I mean, you watch back last year's Grand National, watch him from the elbow home. He trots. Now maybe he will be a year older, maybe he will stay, but that's a maybe. He has to do what he didn't do last year, and that's stay. And I think a bit like Run Wild Fred, when I watched back Irish Nationals, Burrow Saint was going to win on the bridle with me, jumping the second last in the Irish National, yet he needed the line by the time he got there. Run Wild Fred looked to have the measure of Freewheeling Dylan going to 2 out in last year's Irish National, yet he seemed to get outstayed by Freewheeling Dylan. So they were just 2 horses that have won and went closer in Irish National that to me don't look guaranteed to get the trip in the Grand National. So stamina is a big thing. Willie also has Brahma Bull, Augusta Gold and Class Conti, and look, they're big prices for a reason. Okay,
so your heart says Any Second Now, your head kind of says Any Second Now. If I was to pin you down and maybe give you 3 picks, Any Second Now will obviously be one of them. What would the other 2 be?
I think Delta Work would have to go in there. Because I picked Delta Work, I'll leave out the other one, the Gardens, which is Ascaria 10. And then it's Longhouse Poet or Fiddler on the Roof. Maybe Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay, yeah, I'm a big Fiddler on the Roof fan as well. Obviously, day 1, Ruby, and we've got a cracking Betway Bowl, the feature on Thursday. Kemboy was kept away from Cheltenham this year. That will certainly suit, and he was very good in this race 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago, David.
Yeah.
There's nearly dust on that farm by now. Yeah, look, I don't know what Paul and Jonathan think, but I thought this was a particularly hard race to have a definite opinion on because there's so many variables in the equation. If it keeps raining, of course, that's going to suit Royal Pagai. How hard a race to Protectorate having the Gold Cup? What sort of mark will the Ryanair have left in Eldorado Allen or the Fall and Conflated? How good can Kemboy and Clandazobo be as 10-year-olds? I think there's too many questions in this race and not enough answers.
Well, Keels, I know you've had a good look at this race, and not to give, we want to keep viewers watching, and we don't want to give away Keels' tip, but we're going to. You fancy Kemboy?
Yeah, I mean Ruby has something up. Well, you can put question marks against anything. And I just thought, looking back, yes, it's the form is 3 years old, but the third to Galvin and A Plus Tard 2 starts ago shows that he's still capable of mixing it, running to a reasonably high level. And although these horses that have run in the Gold Cup, Royal Pagaya Protectorate, they got beat a long way. We're not talking about absolutely top class. So, if there's a horse to roll back the years, I'm thinking it's more likely to be him than Clanders Oboe, who's really disappointed me so far this year. Just hasn't seemed to have it. And the headgear switch as well suggests he's disappointed Paul Nicholls too.
Do you think Ruby at home, is he showing similar signs to a couple of years ago?
Yeah, look, Ruth rides him and looks after him all his life, and she's really happy with him. I wouldn't say, David, he's ever been a brilliant workhorse, but he's working as well as he ever works, which is not spectacular. But at the end of the day, he's a stay and chase. You're not expecting him to be catching pigeons at home. So he looks really well. As David or Paul says, like, he was dominant in this race 3 years ago, but you can make the same argument of Clanders Oboe here last year. He was dominant in the race, and it's 2 runs back. He was second, going to be third in the King George. So, like, I don't know. I'm still not. I just can't see myself putting my hand in my pocket and backing something in this race.
I'm just going to throw a couple of willies at you for the week, Ruby. One that I'm very interested in is El Fabiolo, who runs against John Bond later on in the week. What do you make of him?
Yeah, he's a hard horse to gauge. He obviously beat Tempo Chapter 2 in a maiden hurdle at Tremor, and that's been a while ago. He was at the Dublin Racing Festival, but had a coat and wasn't allowed to run. He missed Cheltenham. He seems to be in great form at home. I know from just earwigging on Paul Townend at the baggage belt yesterday afternoon in John Lennon Airport that he put him to the guys that were standing around him as probably his best ride here. So, yeah, he has a good chance. I'm a massive John Bond fan. I think John Bond probably paid the price for taking on Dysart Dynamo and got beaten a bit further than he probably maybe could have or should have by Constitution Hill. So I think John Bond sets a really good standard, but El Fabiolo is an unknown, but he's a professional horse. I don't think the lack of runs would worry me. He's a very good jumper and he knows his job.
Edward Stone was a very impressive winner of the Arkle Ruby. Gentleman de Me has looked spectacular in some of his performances over fences so far. Do you think he could challenge Edward Stone and third time lucky in the English in that?
I think he'll make him go, David. I think it makes the race quite tactically easy for the lads that are riding in it. Gentleman de Me obviously likes to get on with his business. He'll bowl along. That'll suit Tom Cannon, who will most likely follow Gentleman de Me, and you'd imagine Harry Skelton will follow Edward Stone and third time lucky. But I thought Edward Stone was rock solid in Cheltenham. I thought Tom Cannon handled the pressure really well and gave the horse a really good ride, delivered him at the right time, and he looks the best 2 mile novice chaser in training, and I'd be sticking with him. And even, I know people say Cheltenham to Aintree, but horses coming from that race, from the Arkle to Aintree, have a pretty good record. And I think he can uphold it. I think he'll back it up. 2 mile races compared to horses who are going much further in distance, they definitely turn around better, like sprinters on the flat, I suppose. Absolutely.
And one of the rules you have to stick to as a punter, Willie in the last, and it proved the case on day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival. Of course, with Facile Vega, is Willie going to win the bumper today with Ashrow Diamond?
She definitely has a chance, and I don't think the mares that finished behind her at Leopardstown did the form any harm last Sunday in Fairyhouse when they were all behind Doran's Weir. They were second, third and fourth. Pink in the Park, Nikini and Harmonia Maker. So yeah, it is solid, but look, some better judges than me have been pretty strong on Rosie Red Rum and thought she looked a bit unlucky at Newbury. She is only a 4-year-old, but she could have been, she could be coming here having won twice, and some good judges put her up to me, so I might be listening to that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot now. I did watch the Road to Cheltenham last night and I thought it was a very enjoyable hour. But what is Ruby Walsh's best bet at the Grand National Meeting?
Ruby Walsh's best bet at the Grand National Meeting?
I like what you did there. You repeated it to give yourself an extra couple of seconds. I try doing that as well.
There's a trick in that, David. I'm just trying to teach you here as we're going along.
Yeah, my mentor.
I think Warlord is an outstanding chance in the first today. I think the step up and trip will really suit him, and sure, he might as well be a hero early and be forgotten about quickly.
Yeah, I like what you're doing there. So tell me about your week then. Obviously, you might think it mightn't be as hectic as when you were a jockey, but it seems like it's even more hectic. You're with us at 8:30, so talk me through your next couple of days.
I'm with you at 8:30, and I will go downstairs and have a cup of coffee now and then be at the racecourse at 10 o'clock if I can. We've a lot of VT to cut up and dissect for ITV to get the shows ready, so I'll give that a go this morning in the truck with Hannah. I have some work to do for Jockey Club as well, ITV for the afternoon, podcast with Paddy Power after racing, Examiner article to be written as well, although that might be voiced and Tommy Lyons might do the typing for me on that front. But I do usually write my own. It's just quite hectic this week, so Tommy might do the typing.
I believe you.
Yeah, I do actually. And then it's repeat again tomorrow morning. Obviously, it's go to Alderhay Children's Hospital before going to the races, but pretty much the same thing. Yeah, busy, David, but look, I'm used to being busy and I like being busy.
And this new life, obviously, it's gone pretty well since you've retired. Are you enjoying it?
I do enjoy it. I love good racing, be it flat or national hunt racing. I loved it when I was riding, and I still enjoy it as a fan now, or a pundit or broadcaster or whatever my title or job may be.
You've been called worse, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Don't get half the abuse anymore. But yeah, I do enjoy it. I enjoy good racing. And there's days you go and it's hard to get excited about it, but that's what work is, isn't it? You had to go to the small meetings as a jockey too.
You certainly did. Well, Ruby, we're enjoying listening to every word that you're saying. Thanks a million for getting up early, which is probably not early for you at all, for joining us on Good Morning Aintree, and best of luck for the week.
Cheers, David. Best of luck, lads.
Now, there you go. What a start to the show.
Absolutely, yeah. Disappointing lack of mention of boozers and strip clubs at the end of the day, to be fair.
Paul Kealy, we are live now. We are live. Yeah, Liverpool, it is a unique week. I was best...
Listen, last time I went to the Grand National meeting was in 1991, I think. You know what I mean? So it's a long while ago.
Oh, wow. I was best man for a wedding, I think, 5-6 years ago, and we went to Ladies' Day for his stag. There were some memories created there, let me tell you.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
I bet. Well, the photographers used to send all the pictures in until they stopped them looking for all the rotten ones.
Well, if you read Richard Forrestal's column in the Racing Post today, he says if a sing-song at Cheltenham offended you, wait for Aintree. This is going to be a proper party, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, we're going to get stuck into the action, and we're going to kick off with the first Grade 1 of the week, and it is probably not the greatest Grade 1 in the world, Paul Kealy. It is the Super Alloys Manifesto Novices Chase, and at the moment, Earn River is currently our 11-4 favourite with Paddy Power, joint favourite, I should say, with Warlord. Ruby Walsh's fancy. A big drifter, Pictory, is out to 7-2 now. It is 4-1 Gin and Lime, and then 8-1 Miller's Bank. So we're kicking off, Keels, with a mediocre Grade 1, and that's being kind.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, I think, the case we've had Cheltenham, we've got Punchestown coming. You're going to get some weak races. You do. I mean, Flying Angel won this race a few years ago. Clarkham won it. They weren't top class. They weren't top class 2.5 mile chasers, were they? So you do get it every now and again. It's, it is what it is. We've got we've got a pretty ropey Aintree hurdle as well, haven't we? So
well, I disagree with you on that front. But anyway,
we'll come to that.
We'll
anyway.
Discuss that later.
Yeah, I mean, a horse has still got to win it. I mean, we've now got Earn River's gone into favourite. Didn't go to Cheltenham. He's only rated 144, so you officially got £10 to find with Pictory, who's the highest rated horse in the race on 154. I was trying to talk myself into tipping Earn River yesterday when he was 4-1, 9-2. And I kept re-watching his run at Wetherby, and I just thought, yes, he's a very, very good horse, but he doesn't have to get low, and I think the park fences at Aintree on the Mildmay course are, some of the stiffest we get in Britain. And I just worry if he clips one or two of them, then it won't end well. So, and he did have to be chivied along at Wetherby as well, early on, he's a galloper. And I just wonder whether 2 mile 4 round here was not going to be the strong enough test. So I came back thinking Pictory was just a solid one in the race. He's the one with 2.5 mile form. He jumps well. He's probably going to make the running and get his own way. His form when beating Miller's Bank, giving him £5 is good enough. Warlord is the one you've got to fear, I think, because he shapes very much like he wants 2.5 miles, but he's still got to prove it. And I just thought Pictory was the most solid.
Okay, that's interesting. So Jonathan Harding, welcome. Fresh from the Look on Sunday studio. How does this compare? Is it as elaborate?
It's similar. There's no pastries here, though.
No. Me and Keels ate them before the show. Yeah. What's interesting is you fancy Pictory, as you pronounce him, or Pictory to the rest of us. I met Jonathan Harding just before we got into the lift today, and he said the one horse I don't fancy today, and my lay of the day is Pictory.
Yes.
Explain.
Well, if you can't even say it right, then what chance have you got?
Steph, I guarantee you, I'll have
Absolutely no
I'll have
idea.
a pint with you. But the commentator will pronounce it Pictory.
You owe me a lifetime of pints. You
I
only
know,
ever
yeah.
bought me one.
Go on, Jonathan. Why isn't he going to win anyway?
Well, I feel slightly less brave now. I've just heard Keels put him up like that. But I just think in a race like this, you're looking for, when it's wide open, you're looking for the progressive one. And I'm not sure, even in a weak Grade 1, Pictory is quite that level. I mean, he's won well enough at Kempton. But I just can't really. When I said that, I believed he was favourite. He's obviously now drifted, which comes into consideration as well, because he's a reasonable price now, and he does set the standard. But I just
You're
think,
actually going to tip him now, are you?
no. But I still just like Ern River. He's going the right way. He's got a good profile. I see what Keels is saying about his jumping, but he's done so well in those 2 chase starts, and I'm a bit sentimental as well. It's a first graded runner for the trainer, which is quite nice.
Okay, sentiment. Do we put that into punting?
Can't put that into punting.
No.
Cannot put it.
One
into
of the
punting.
first things
It's
you
very
ever
hard
taught me.
It's very hard not to be fair. I mean, how many times do we back favourite horses and you can't let go of them?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you shouldn't put any sentiment into punting.
Yeah,
I think he
Mr.
has a
Fisher,
good
Mr.
chance.
Coffee. They seem to all begin with misters for me. Yeah.
He has a good chance, I think, on form.
Okay, so it's Ern River for you.
Yep.
It's
Victory for me.
Victory, said very swiftly by Paul Kealy. And I actually like gin and lime here. Now, she missed Cheltenham, which I don't know was the plan, because Henry de Bromhead had spoken about the Mayor's Chase for her earlier on in the season. But I think the flat track and the ground, if they haven't got the rain that Ruby Walsh told us they haven't got, I think it'll suit Gin and Lime, and I think she might be able to make all. So 3 different tips from your panellist in the opener, the 145 at Aintree. Today, moving on to the second Grade 1 of the day, it is the Juvenile Hurdle, and what a cracker we have here. We've got the third from the Triumph Hurdle, which is Pied Piper, and we've got the winner, very impressive winner of the Boodles Juvenile Hurdle, also known as the Fred Winter in Brazil. And at the moment with Paddy Power, it's 11-10 Pied Piper, it is 7-4 Brazil, and it is 10-1 Bar. Jonathan Harding, are you a Pied Piper fan or are you a Brazil fan?
I am a Brazil fan. I think it is between the top 2 for me. Pied Piper, obviously, the form's there. We know an awful lot about him. He's running what looks to be a very competitive Triumph. But I just thought Brazil's run at Cheltenham it had more potential in it. There was more chance of him coming on again. I think we sort of know where Pied Piper is, roughly. Whereas with Brazil, he's beaten an incredibly well-handicapped, well-thought-of horse in Gaelic Warrior when a lot went wrong for him as well. And I just think he's the one you could see coming on again. And if there has been rain, which we're getting mixed reports about how much rain, but any sort of rain or any give in the ground is going to help him a great deal. And I just think he could be top. I think he really could be top class.
Okay, he certainly has the pedigree to be top class. Paul Kealy, where would Brazil have finished in the Triumph Hurdle? That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was thinking of that in bed last night.
That is a very good question.
Thanks, I was
I'm
proud
not
of it.
sure. I mean, it's one of those. Part of you thinks that those 3 could be easily the best 3 juveniles, but by the same token, wasn't Vauban just different class to them? But he just did what he had to do, didn't he? He just got there on the bridle at the last and went and won quite easily, didn't he? So
Vauban will be 1-3 here.
yes, he'd be very short, wouldn't he? He would be very, very short. So. And obviously that Brazil form is pretty decent. Gaelic, they were under no illusions whatsoever that Gaelic was really well handicapped, and he beat him, giving him weight. My only problem with this race is I do not like betting at short prices when there are unknowns, and there were 2 unbeaten horses in here that have a fair amount of promise. Petit Tonnerre of John Joe O'Neill's was running all over the runner-up at Market Raisin on his British debut last time and walked through. The last, and then still quickened up to get it. Now, the only problem with him, that wasn't his only mistake on that way round. He didn't jump well at all. And then we've got Fortinet, who is trained by Venetia Williams, has not run for nearly a year, but according to France Gallop, was less than £2 inferior to Gaelic Warrior on the French ratings. So, she could be very good. She's getting £7 off Brazil, who did give 8 to Gaelic Warrior, but at a price it doesn't put her a mile away. Right, why she hasn't run for a year is the one question, but she's going straight into Grade 1 company for a trainer who's had a fantastic Cheltenham. So they're just things I just worry about. If I'm getting stuck in at short prices, I don't want to have those unknowns. So I'll say I just favour Brazil.
Okay.
Especially if they've had rain and it becomes a test. Because funnily enough, we always talk about Aintree being a speed test, but when rain gets into the ground, it can be quite testing there. I think that'd suit him more. So edge him, but I don't think I'll ever play.
Okay, well, I think Pied Piper should be odds on. I do. I think that triumph form, I think, as you said, those three, the Fildor and with Vauban, I think they are really, really high quality juveniles. So for me, it is Pied Piper. Now, before we come to the feature, Keels, you've had a busy week. You were in the Algarve, am I right?
I was indeed, yeah.
How did the golfing go?
Terrible first day, very well the next two.
Okay.
I've not been well.
So it was a race and post trip. Many 80s went out?
8 of us went out, yeah.
How many came back?
All of us came back. But I mean, it worked in my favour because I played so badly. I was so rough. I was COVID testing myself every day in the lead up to
Don't tell us that.
I'm not getting on a plane if I've got COVID, but I didn't have. I just had a filthy cold and a chest cold, and I can't breathe, and I was so bad. They put my handicap up the next day. All of them went out on the Owl that night, and I went to bed at 10 o'clock, and I won the following day.
You did not go to bed.
I did.
Did you?
And I won the following day by about 10 shots. Got back into contention and sneaked home on the final day. It was great.
Winner, all right.
But we had people like Tom Park, wondering why he didn't play very well on the second day. Drinking 28 baby Guinnesses or whatever he calls them until 4 o'clock in the morning wouldn't have helped.
Please drink responsibly.
It was a fantastic week. Wonderful courses.
Yeah, and you are quite a nifty golfer. What's your handicap?
17.8.
17.8 to be exact.
To be exact, yeah. It matters.
The lowest you've ever been?
13.
13, okay.
But I was terribly badly handicapped.
Okay. And it is Masters week, of course, and we will be chatting about the Masters. At the end of the show, we're going to get our Masters Grand National life-changing doubles, and we've also got one from Steve Palmer as well, so that's going to be very interesting indeed. But moving on to the feature race of the day, it is the Betway Bowl, and it is an absolute corker. And before we get stuck into the action, let's hear from Ruby Walsh and his pals.
Look, Clandis comes here, first time blinkers. It's been his target, but a bit like Kemba, he's 10 years of age, not getting any younger, and really and truly can't be getting any better. And I think the weather is going to be key here. If the rain does fall, it gives Royal Pagaya a massive chance. He loves soft ground. We'll be hoping Kemba can win, and he's in wonderful form, but you'd be thinking there's something open to a bit of improvement that's going to beat him. Top Protectorate ran a really good race in the Gold Cup, but I thought he'd a hard enough race. And he's only a 7-year-old. Eldorado Allen and Conflated, who was going to finish in front of Cheltenham. I thought Conflated was coming to probably beat Eldorado Allen and Janadil. I think go back up in triple suit Conflated, and he's the one I'm going to side with.
Okay, interesting, Keels. Now, I spent a lot of time with you in the lead up to Cheltenham, okay? We were doing previews together. We were sick talking about Cheltenham by the time it started. I think that the 2-week break did us good apart, I think. But you had me almost convinced that Protectorate was going to win the Gold Cup. Like, you really had it drilled into me, and I couldn't see it. And he ran fine, perfectly respectable. Why are you deserting him now?
Well, I'll tell you why. I actually thought he was going to win turning for home. I actually thought he was going better than Aplutar at that time. So I think he probably got outclassed. And does it make him a Gold Cup course? He's still young. He might be good enough next year. He did thump the last. He did do well to still finich third after the mistake he made at the last. I'll have to give him that. But he did have a hard race. Now this is one of those races. Years ago, we always said, "Oh, you can't run a good race at Cheltenham in the Gold Cup and then come to this race." And of course, 4 of the last 5 winners of this ran in the Gold Cup. The 3 of them never got round. And the one difference, the one horse that you wouldn't expect to deal with a brutal race was Might Buy It, who ran against Native River and then came out and won this, but was never the same again afterwards. So, I'm looking for something just a little bit fresher in this race. And I just thought to myself, well, Royal Pagaya, he's had a hard race, probably won't be soft enough, might be now. Eldorado Allen, will he really stay 3 mile 1? As I said, if the rain gets in, that's a doubt. Conflated's had a heavy fall, so let's go with a fresh horse. Like I said, Clandizobo's sort of disappointed me, and I thought Kemboy 2 runs ago was really good in the Savills. Only got beat 3/4 of a length by Galvin and Aplutar, and if he returns to that sort of form, he wants a flat track, doesn't he? I think he definitely wants a flat track, and he's fresh. And I think he'll run well. It's not going to be a massive bet by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think he's a fair price at 5-1.
Okay, can you explain one thing to me there? We see the prices there on the screens in front of you. 5-2 Protectorate, okay? 7-1 Royal Pagaya, who absolutely clattered the 4th last at Cheltenham. Why is there such a difference in price between Protectorate and Royal Pagaille, given there was a half a length between them?
Well, I think first of all, Protectorate obviously made his own mistakes there as well, but he's also won a Grade 1 round here. He's also won the many clouds round here as well. So he's got course form, and he's the younger horse. And I think the weather forecast suggested it wasn't. It was good to soft in places, wasn't it? And we know that Royal Pagaille needs the mud. Now, if it suddenly turns out testing, you'll find Royal Pagaille coming in a little bit.
Okay, good answer, well answered.
If it comes out testing, we'll all back Bristol de Mai, won't we? 33-1.
No, we won't. No, we won't. Oh my God, absolutely not. Jonathan Harding, can you solve this bowl puzzle?
Well, this is the one that gave me the biggest headache when I was looking over it last night, and I must say on the train in as well. I've been flicking between a few. I think with the rain, Royal Pagaille is interesting. I take the view that Kemboy is a value option. If he's anywhere near in the same form as he was when he won it, he's going to go very close. But when it's like this, I just think go with what you know, and I think Protectorate's got the course form. I understand the argument about freshness. He obviously has had a difficult enough race in the Gold Cup where he ran incredibly well, like you say. We thought he was going to come with a winning run as he turned the bend, but I just think he's been fairly lightly campaigned anyway, and I don't think they'll be too worried about bouncing him back out. We've had a little bit of a gap from Cheltenham. I wouldn't be too concerned. I think the course form's important at Aintree, and I just think he's the class horse.
It's 5-2 though. Is there any value in that? Is there any juice in that price at the minute?
I don't think it's completely unfair. I don't think it's unbalanced. It's a sort of race that I would probably leave alone simply for the reasons that Ruby and Paul said. It's just one of those where there's question marks over all of them, but he seems to have the fewer questions surrounding him for me.
Okay, Gold Cup, Paul, right? Royal Pagaille sets off on the outside towards the back of the field, gives him space, Charlie lets him get into a rhythm, and then he takes it up on the second circuit. Do you think here maybe they can be more positive from the outset here and really use that stamina? And I think if he jumps as well as he can, if he jumps as well as he did in a couple of those Peter Marshes, I think he's going to be very hard to beat here.
Horses that have gone from the front include Conflated, Kemboy, Eldorado, Allen. Do you want to be getting involved in that?
Yeah, you're turning me off. You're turning me off. You're doing a good job here now.
I mean, he is a versatile horse, isn't he? He can sit behind. I mean, the two Peter Marshes he won, he just sat and waited to pick it up when he wanted to, didn't he? You know what I mean? So he doesn't have to do that.
You're not a Royal Pagaille fan?
Well, I'm not a Royal Pagaille fan. I'd be less of a Royal Pagaille fan if there was a burn-up in front and he has got other potential front runners and he doesn't have to do it.
Okay. So it is Kemboy for Paul Kealy, it is Protectorate for Jonathan Harding, and I'm staying loyal to Royal Pagaille, and of course Ruby Walsh fancies Conflated. Now moving on to the next Grade 1 on the card, and it is the Betway Aintree Hurdle, and at the moment Epatante is your 7-4 favourite. I can't believe that. 2-1 Zana here, 7-1 Bruno Up a Storm, it is 15-2 Monmoral, and it is 16-1 Bard. This is a hell of a race, Keels.
Worst Aintree Hurdle I've seen in 35 years of following racing.
Tell us what you really think.
Are you joking?
No.
Go on, wait.
No, but I think that I don't think the Champion Hurdle form's any good, other than Honeysuckle, who nowadays just does what she has to do. Time was rubbish.
The fourth horse home won the Supreme by 20-something lengths last year.
The fourth horse home was running off a year's break.
It's trained by Willie Mullins.
Yeah, it was running off a year's break and just just wasn't the same horse. Don't give me that.
So the second and third in the Champion Hurdle
Zana here has an official rating of 159. Now, in the days when there were good 2 milers, that would just be an average Grade 2 horse. Right? And that's what we've got at the moment in the 2 mile division. Epatante is rated 154. She's a good 7, 8, maybe even 10 pounds below what she was 2 years ago. Yet here they are, both stepping up to a trip that they've never tried before.
Zana here is going to love it.
7-4, which do. Zana here strikes me, but what about the form of Gordon Elliott?
Yeah, I wrote about this today.
Tell me Elliott's not worried about the form of his horse.
He is worried. It's 1 from the last 72, okay? But he did have 2...
1 from 72? You want a bit of 15 away?
I know, yeah, but just listen for a second. Listen, calm, okay, right? So he had 2 winners at Cheltenham. Everybody said he had disastrous Cheltenham. He had 7 seconds.
Yeah,
okay?
60 runners. 60 runners.
He's had an awful lot of seconds and thirds. I know he had a 1-4 shot beaten at Ferryhouse on Sunday, but he never looked happy at all and didn't jump particularly well, level never ending.
Stop Zana here not looking happy from the start. This is the problem when you have a malaise in a yard that you don't know why. We had it with Paul Nicholls earlier in the season. We briefly had it with Nicky Henderson. Venetia Williams also said at one point that she had horses with running noses. Now she's got different yards, and obviously the Cheltenham horses were fine because she had a great Cheltenham.
So you think it's a big deal?
But I think it's, when you've got a trainer as big as Gordon Elliott and as successful as Gordon Elliott, and he's had one winner from his last 72 runners, he's telling me it's not significant. You must be mad.
Okay, and if his horses were in form, would you fancy Zana here?
I'd say it'd be the one to beat. I'm not 100% convinced that Epatante really wants 2.5 miles. I don't think the film's all that good anyway. Like I said, I don't think the Champion Hurdle was a good race. 2.25 length victory over Fortune and Glory. A dead eat with Not So Sleepy. Like, Not So Sleepy is actually officially rated the same as Zana here. This is the level we're talking about. Let's not get carried away.
Zana here is 5.
Yeah,
There's still time for him to improve.
Of course there is. But
So go on, what are you going to tip anyway? You're annoying me now.
You've got to have a go at something else. Now, I really fancied McFabulous for the Coral Cup, as did you.
I did, yeah, but this is a different level.
This is a different level. Well, a year ago.
He ran a shocker.
A year ago, you were all over him.
I know, and he ran terribly.
At half the price he is now, in a much better race than this.
You have to learn from your mistakes.
He was rated 158 then, which is £1 below what Zania is now. Now, he's gone the other way, but he had a wind up after running a bad race here, and he'd had a really hard race in the National Spirit of Fontwell, where he actually just about came out a better horse at Brewing Up the Storm anyway, because he was giving him weight. And he's run twice since. Now, he got beat by Stormy Island. I thought that was fine. First run in the Rail Kill, first run after a break. And next time in the Cleve, he actually breezed into the lead jump in the third last. Looked like he was going to play a major part at a time when the Nichols horses weren't going well at all. And then he did what he did. And then he did what he did at Newbury. He didn't stay. He didn't stay when he got beat by Time Hill at Newbury. He looked like he was running all over them there as well, and he didn't stay. So now he's coming back to the right trip. He's fresh. He's got cheek pieces on for the first time, which Nichols was dead keen to use on him at Cheltenham, and took him out before rain on watered ground. The only worry is we may well have rain on watered ground again. But he is a soft ground winner. I think he wants a flat track. He won the Bumper here a few years ago, so he has got decent course form.
How have you put the run last year out of your head, though?
Because it's one run. I mean, horses run badly. They're not machines. Know what I mean? There aren't that many machines in racing. You get your honeysuckles once in a blue moon, really. And generally only because the competition is weak. Right? And what we've got here is a weak race and one that is open. Doesn't mean that those two at the head of the market won't finish first and second, but they don't set a scary.
Good morning, Aintree viewers, that they won't.
They don't set a scary standard, so I'm more than happy to take them on.
Okay, so it is McFabulous for Paul Kealy at 16-1. You're entitled to your opinion, even if you are wrong.
Exactly.
Jonathan Harding, what's going to win the Aintree hurdle? And unless it's Zana here, you're not allowed to talk.
Yeah, I was worried coming in I was going to be laughed out the studio for this, but I can see there's been a bit of market support for Montmoral, who I really like. But I can't get last year's performance in the Juvenile out of my head, and I just think this is the perfect test. Perfect test in what Keels quite rightly points out is an incredibly open race, and you're looking at Epatante and Zana here, and I just think Epatante step up in trip, we don't know. Zana here stable form, you have to ask the question. It's set up for somebody to come in and sort of nick an easy grade 1, and I think that might be Montmoral.
Nick an easy grade 1, second and third in the champion hurdle, and it's an easy grade 1.
There was only one horse in that champion hurdle.
Way worse grade 1s than that this week, so there is. Well, I think he's wrong, because I think Zana here is going to be your 2023 Stayers Hurdle winner, and he's going to win this on the way to winning the Stayers Hurdle next year. I think he's crying out for this trip, and I think he could win this easily. But you want to know what Matt Chapman fancies? Let's find out.
Hello viewers, welcome to Good Morning Aintree. Matt Chapman here for Paddy Power. My nap on day 1 will be Brewing Up a Storm in the Aintree Hurdle. I want to take on Zana here, who of course has been taking on Honeysuckle, the very lowly rated winner of the Champion Hurdle. And I also want to take on Epatante at this trip, so I'm left with Brewing Up a Storm, which I certainly will be when he wins.
So Matt Chapman and you kind of agree, because he's taken on Epatante and Zana.
Yeah, I think he's got the right strategy. But on that National Spirit form last year, they're the same horse, Brewing Up a Storm and McFabulous is more than twice the price. So that's the way I play.
Well, if McFabulous does win, I'll buy you a nice Americano coffee or something, because I just don't see it. But that's what it's all about. It's a game of opinions. So let's move on after what's going to be a spectacular Aintree hurdle. We have got the Randox Fox Hunters Chase, and at the moment with Paddy Power, It is, I think that's wrong on the screen at the minute because the 440 is the Cloche Brothers Red Rum Chase. But I think isn't the Fox Hunters before it?
The next, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Come on, boys.
They're sacked. We'll sack the boys. They're getting worried here in my ear, so they are. But I think Jet is favourite because he was on the VT at the start. We're saying, is Jet ready for takeoff? Okay. So Jet last year in the Grand National Keels, it was like for 3/4 of the way, it was spectacular to watch, wasn't it? He just loved it.
Amazing. Didn't he do what Live, Love, Laugh did a few years
Yes.
ago? And then 2 years later, Live, Love, Laugh came and absolutely destroyed the field in the Topham. And isn't that what Jet is going to do today? Like, we've got a 24-runner race and a 3-1 favourite, and most people think, and I'm the one who wants to take on these horses.
What's going on here?
At that sort of price, but I actually think it's a massive price. I think he's got 24 rivals, but none of them are going to be in front of him by the time they reach the first. He's just going to go from the front. Right, so he won't have anything. The only thing that will be in the way of his fences, and we saw the way he jumped those fences last year. It was fantastic, wasn't it? Right, he on his best form, he's far and away the best horse in the race, far better than any of these have been or ever will be. And he's got a jockey who's got in Sam Whaley-Coed, who's got a better record than the vast majority of professionals over the Grand National fences. There really are no negatives. And the more I looked at, they've got firms betting 5 places and whatever, but I've just backed him to win. You know what I mean? I just think he'll win. I can't see what's going to beat him. When you get to the Hunter Chaser Chart, I always look at the Hunter Chaser Chart and I think I've got no idea about this. You've got loads of unexposed ones coming from the point to point and all that, but there's none of that here. Everything's got a rating. We all know how good they roughly are, and none of them are as good as he is. So he should just win.
He should. Wow. There you go. And he's 5-2 now with Paddy Power. So people are listening to Paul Kealy. Trees has gone. He's 5-2 now. Is it as simple as that, Jonathan Harding?
I mean, he clearly sets a standard, and that was in the National just brilliant to watch. And it's very possible he's going to go off the front and do the same again. But given the amount of places we've got here, I quite like Porlock Bay.
Yeah, me too.
At 7-1. I think you've got that proven Hunter Chase form. He obviously won at the Cheltenham Festival last season. I'd have liked him to have arrived here for Will Biddick having won his point and won his start at Bangor, but as it happens, he finished second. I'm not completely discouraged by that. It was a fairly good prep run for this one, and this has always been the target. Missing Cheltenham was wise, and I just think he must have a good chance.
But was it always the target? Was it always the idea to not defend your target?
No, he had a setback.
He's had two, he's been chinned twice at odds on and missed.
He carried 12-6 the last day now.
Yeah.
I know, but he...
in a Hunter Chase at odds on, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like his rival carried 10 stone, is it?
No, I think 11-10 or something. Yeah. So. Okay. Well, you've actually I came in and you'll see on the screen there. Porlock Bay is my tip, but I want to change that. Can we change that, boys? Can we? It seems you're very quick at adapting to situations here. So don't worry, you're not getting sacked in the morning. We've got the Fox Hunters up on the screen, so we have and. Keels, you've convinced me. It just makes perfect sense. It's one of these ones where you're trying to get a favourite beaten because it's a big field.
Yeah, I mean,
and you think it's the right thing to do.
I am far too guilty of trying to be too clever too often. And this one, I just thought, well, what's the point? This will just win.
Yeah, right. We're going down together. I agree with you. I'm putting my faith in Paul Kealy, and as you can see, blissful editing there from my team behind me, and Jet is now my fancy for the Fox Hunters at 5-2 with Paddy Power, and Jonathan Harding is staying loyal to Porlock Bay. That is your 405 at Aintree. That's the Hunter's Chase, and now it's time for what the lads had on the screen before. It is the Red Rum Handicap Chase, and this is a proper 2-mile handicap chase. This is to me, this is every bit as enjoyable as the Grand Annual, Jonathan, because they go so quick over the first few, and you need to get into a rhythm so early. You have no time to adapt, and it suits a really good jumper. Have you found a winner of the Red Rum?
Yes, I hope so. I certainly hope so. I think it's Sam Thomas's one in that Before Midnight, is it? He's just...
For somebody that started very confidently there saying, yes, I found a winner,
no,
you forgot the name.
No, in my head, I've got an urge to call him Sizing Midnight for some reason. It was Before Midnight.
It was a Sizing Midnight.
Yeah, so he's... look, Sam Thomas has had a fabulous season, hasn't he? And I think he's going to be rewarded for Before Midnight swerving that Grand Annual and coming here. I think he arrives a fresh horse. I think he's done well in his 2 starts this season. He was second behind... Venetia Williams' horse, who I can't pronounce, Finambul Savola.
Finambul Savola, yeah, that was quite good.
That was all right, wasn't it? That was okay.
You're happy
Obviously went and franked the form in a pretty exciting way behind Energumen in the Champion Chase, and I just think it's all there. The form's there, and he's a decent enough price for me to have a go at for a trainer who's had a great season in a race that's going to be great fun to watch. So I think he'll give you a run for your money.
What's his name?
Before Midnight.
Excellent. Well done. This is your type of race. This has got your name.
It is my type of race. I mean, I love the 2 mile chases. Obviously, I backed Ferro Bamboo at Cheltenham on the strength of his effort at Sandown behind a horse who'd become really, really well handicapped. But that horse won really, really easily and is now almost 3 times the price, Dolos. Now, the big caveat with Dolos is that race at Sandown that he won in February was his Gold Cup. He's running it 5 times and he's been first 3 times and second twice. But with the handicapper this year, after what happened at Cheltenham last year, the handicapper this year has been dropping British horses way, way quicker than he used to. And in 4 runs, Dolos had got to such a ridiculously low mark that he's actually, having bolted up last time, thrashed Ferrero Bamboo and Gunsight Ridge, who were in the first 4 in the betting there, and he's still £9 lower than he started the season. You remember, he was a very classy horse. You know, he gave £22 when he beat First Flow in that Sandown race a few years ago. You know, and he's still only rated 148 now, and he has been 161, and he's only 9. Now, he hasn't won a chase left-handed, but he has run some really good ones off higher marks, including being beaten half-length by Thienval at the Scottish National meeting a couple of years ago. So I just think, you know, we're missing the obvious here. He's still a very well-handicapped horse. And, you know, at the price, I cannot resist backing him because he's thrashed 2 of the first 4 in the betting, and he's at least double their price now. He's very weak in the betting, so
he is very weak. He's not on the first list there, so I'm waiting for it to flash up.
He's a bigger price now than I backed him at.
Okay, we're still waiting for it to change. Come on, boys, let the prices change. Currently, Ferrero Bamboo is your 5-1 favourite.
I'm sure he's 14.
$14 to $1.
You know what I mean? But I think that's way too.
I
big
think that Sandown form can be reversed here. I fancy Gunsight Ridge. I think, as I was saying to Jonathan, I think this race is all about rhythm and jumping at speed. And I think Gunsight Ridge, he was very aggressive. There we go. There's the price of Dollars. You were right, Keels, as ever. $14 to $1 at the moment. That's interesting. That's a big price, isn't it? 14 to 1.
I just think it's a silly price.
I think Gunsight Ridge might reverse that form. I think he's been kept fresh since Sandown for this race. I think the pace they're going to go is going to really suit him. I'd say if Aidan could have that ride back again, he wouldn't have been quite as aggressive as he was at Sandown. He got very tired after the last. I think the track at Aintree will suit him. And off 134, he's a better horse than that. I think he's a better horse than that. He does have a lot of ground to make up from Dollars.
He could be. Funnily enough, I mean, they did go quite hard there, but Dollars was never far off him.
No.
You know, and still won easily. So, you know, my worry about Gunsight Ridge is I always thought he wanted further. And the only time he tried, he's been dropped back to 2 miles since, but he got beat by Long Press. Yeah. He didn't actually get beat that far.
No, he ran a cracker.
So, you know, and he did run over 2 Mile Hill earlier in the season and just looked up for toe and he was running on late. So it just worried me whether he's really a 2 mile round Aintree type of horse.
Okay, you convinced me with Jet. You're not convincing me here with Dollars, okay? I'm not changing my tip. It is Gunsight Ridge. He's actually my strongest fancy of the day 1 racing at Aintree. I think he is going to run a massive race. And he's 15 to 2 with Paddy Power. That is your Red Rum handicap chase at 4:40. Moving on to the finale on day 1. And it is the Grade 2 Mares Bumper. And Jonathan, we're going to come to you here first. It's one of these races where it can throw up a potential star, but at this stage we don't know what the star is.
No,
so
can
we find it somewhere in here?
Well, as I was doing my preview calls yesterday, as you know too well, phoning around the trainers for a sort of 10-20 second sound bite.
Yeah, they all think they're going to win.
Yes, they all think they're going to win, which makes it very hard, and that sort of muddies the waters a little bit. But Milton Harris really convinced me that Rosie Red Rum's going to win. You know, you usually get a 10-15 second ground is good, jockey's good, horse is good, but he really fancies her to be a serious horse, and there is that sort of concern that she's coming up against some more sort of experienced, more potentially sort of battle-hardened types, but she could easily have arrived here unbeaten, and he told me that she's going to tower over every other one in the paddock despite being younger. Very good horse, and I'm convinced.
Okay. So Milton has convinced Jonathan Harding, and at the moment, 130 Rosie Red Rum. I like something that you've been called a few times, naughtiness here, for Lorna Fowler, right?
Let's not get into that.
Yeah, no, we don't want to hear any more about the Portugal trip. We have heard enough, okay? Naughtiness. I was in Fairyhouse when this mare won on New Year's Day, and Lorna immediately was talking big things. Like it was great at bumpers. This is a graded horse. I thought she won that convincingly. And at the Punchestown Festival, she was second to a decent gelding in Carrera from the Emmett Mullen stable. Tom Hamilton keeps the ride, knows her well from Fairyhouse. I think she's very classy, and I think she could win this. Naughtiness. Yeah.
You're actually asking for my opinion.
Well, you're going to agree with me. Have you tipped anything here?
You
in
know
the
me
paper?
you know me when it comes to bumpers. I mean, I tend to, I'll be one of the ones that gets a quick break away from the track.
But you say that about Hunter's Chases, and you're all over Jet.
Yeah, because that was an easy one to study.
Okay.
These bumpers. Look, there's no form lines to go on. Everybody's guessing, really, aren't they?
Well, give us a guess then.
Tom Siegel was quite keen on Law Ella yesterday for Gavin Cromwell, so I just copied him on that show last night, and then fessed up later on. So yeah, that'll be me. But nobody should be coming to me for advice in bumpers.
So we getting Tom Siegel's sloppy seconds here.
Absolutely, yeah.
God, I can't believe this. You're better than that, Keels. Come on. Loyal for you, though.
Not when it comes to bumpers.
No, he's good. No, in fairness, he is good. So it is Naughtiness for me. It is Loyal for Paul, and it is Rosie Redrum for Jonathan. That was day one, boys. Now, this is the tricky bit, okay? This is the very tricky bit, because we got to come up with a nap, okay? A charity bet that we all have to agree on. We did reasonably well at Cheltenham, Keels. We were unlucky with, we had the first day we had Constitution Hill. Then we had McFabulous, who was a non-runner. Then we had 2 seconds, I think, on the last 2 days.
You know what happened on day one? Constitution Hill was 5-2, and Paddy gave us 5-1.
Yeah, I'll have a chat with him at the moment.
Jet is 5-2.
Okay.
So I think Paddy should give us 5-1.
Will I ask?
Yeah, why not?
Paddy, are you there? Can we get a bit of 5-1 Jet? Oh, he's coming in. Yes, he said he'd give it to us. 5-1. Are we going for Jet?
It's got to be in it.
Are we going for Jet?
You did make a very compelling case.
He did, yeah.
It would be him or Brazil for me. Would be the.
Okay, they'd be the two. Okay.
Well,
No, I think Jet.
You made a decision. You're the captain.
No, I know I'm the captain. Yeah, I know, but I've messed this up a couple of times in the past. Yeah, we're not going for
pressure.
McFabulous anyway. That's for sure. Okay. I'd be tempted for Zana here, and then I put in a word for Gunsight Ridge, but I'm happy with Jet.
Yeah.
So with Jet,
Yeah.
okay, 5-1 Jet is the charity bet. 100 quid, which will hopefully be raised for charity. We did okay at the Cheltenham Festival, so let's hope we kick off on a winning note at Good Morning Aintree as well. So the week in store, Keels, it's from a tipster's point of view, it's fascinating because you've got the Cheltenham angle, you've got horses coming in fresh, you've got different stables coming in and out of form. Do you enjoy tipping at Aintree?
I enjoy tipping at big meetings. It doesn't mean it's always going to go well. I've had some shockers. I've had some good meetings. It's very hard to pin down what horses are going to run well from Cheltenham, and I think it's almost worth trying to put that out of your head and just going with what you like on form. And sometimes you're going to be right, sometimes you're going to be wrong. But yeah, no, I love Aintree. Always have done. And I'll always have a few decent bets. But the handicaps are incredibly difficult. At least as difficult as the ones at Cheltenham. And you get some funny results in the graded races, don't you? But I love it.
What's your form like at the minute? Are you in good form going into the festival?
It's okay. Tipped back down at Benino at 14s for the Scottish champion.
Very well done.
The Scottish national horses blew out. Well, Ashdown Lad finished 5th, but I'd backed him anti-post, so I only got first 4. So it's not horrific. It's not.
Okay.
It's not brilliant. I kept having loads of near misses at Cheltenham, didn't I?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's not got no better than that. I'm hoping it's going to improve soon, but I'm not losing.
I'm just worried you got sunstroke in Portugal because you're tipping McFabulous in the Aintree hurdle. But
we'll see.
Time will tell.
When he wins, mate. When he
Now,
wins.
it is like the best sporting weekend of the year. Obviously, you've got Liverpool and City on Sunday. We've got the Grand National, obviously, on Saturday. And we've got the Masters. So we all like to, fancy ourselves as winning big, okay? So it's time for a Grand National US Masters double, okay? But before you do, let's listen to the golf expert himself, Mr. Steve Palmer.
Hi guys, Steve Palmer here, and what an exciting weekend we've got ahead. 4 days of Masters golf at Augusta National, with the Grand National thrown into the mix. And if you compare the winner of both of those events in a double, it's party time. And what I'm going to suggest is that you put Dustin Johnson, my idea of the likely Masters champion, in a double with Snow Leopardess to win the Grand National. That's 16-1 Dustin Johnson with 8-1 Snow Leopardess. That makes a 152-1 double. Let's enjoy our weekend. Let's make some moolah.
I've never met him. Okay,
You've never met Palmer?
I've never met him. I
Oh
really
my
want to
God.
go for a fight with him. Yeah, what a legend.
Absolute loony.
And
Brilliant guy.
he is a smashing guy. And what you need to do is, if you're watching the Masters, okay, you can watch Steve Palmer and Bruce Millington live on the Sweet Spot as you're watching the Masters. What better way to enjoy the final round of the Masters than having Steve Palmer and Bruce Millington beside you?
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be brilliant. Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be brilliant.
He's gone for Dustin Johnson, DJ my namesake, and he's gone for Slow Leopardess. So give us a Masters Grand National double.
Right, I am going to go Justin Thomas, because he's one of the two I backed, and I'm going to say Mighty Thunder.
Oh, be the Lord.
I'm hoping to see when the decks are made.
What
that
price is Mighty
that
Thunder?
he's had his 40-1. I'm hoping to see that he's had the wind up, because I thought he was going to win the Edinburgh National again, turning into the straight, and he just went out. But it was the first run this year that he'd actually shown plenty, and they said he had a respiratory problem. So hopefully he's had a wind up. Now last year he was second in the Midlands National. He won the Edinburgh National and he won the Scottish National. So he's got the right profile. Just hasn't been in form yet. So
It's only a minor detail.
He's 40-1. So I'm like 16s and 40s. That's a proper double, that, isn't it?
We'll never see you again. So there you go. Mighty Thunder, completely out of form, but back form is there. Okay, the back form is there. So Justin Thomas and Mighty Thunder. Jonathan, your Masters Grand National double, please.
Well, I must say my golf knowledge isn't exceptional.
No,
I'll lay that on the table. So I'm going to
Just
follow
pretend.
Steve Palmer with Dustin Johnson.
Oh
so
my
that's
God,
safe.
he was following Tom Siegel. Now you're following Steve Palmer.
Follow Steve Palmer, bow to his superior knowledge.
EJ.
Grand National, I'm going to go with Ascaria 10. I just like that form with any second now. And I can, hopefully Gordon Elliott gets into a little bit of form in these first 2 days. And then
Zana here will sort it all out for us. So you will Zana here in the entry hurdle. So you're Ascaria 10 and Dustin Johnson. And I am Daniel Berger, 40-1 with Paddy Power. I know he's got a really ugly swing, which is worse than mine, but I think he's ready to win a major. So Daniel Berger at 40-1 into Fiddler on the Roof at 14-1 for me. That's my big US Masters Grand National double. We made it, boys. That's the hour up. Did you enjoy it, Keels? How did this compare to Cheltenham now?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Did you?
Look, I mean, we're in the office here.
Yeah.
Which is a bit disappointing by comparison to being just down the road for Cheltenham and going racing afterwards, whereas we're just stuck in an office now. But yeah, that was good fun.
And we're going to watch the racing together for the next couple of days?
I will definitely watch
I
it.
hope.
I'm definitely going to watch it here today, but I have to go home tomorrow.
Oh, no. Okay. Jonathan, are you going to watch the racing with us today?
Yeah, I'll hang around and watch the racing. I'm going for brunch, actually, and then
very
I'll be
nice.
back.
Very posh brunch. Okay, so there you go. We're going to be with you every morning for the next 3 days. We're going to be here for Good Morning Aintree. We're going to talk you through the cards on Friday and Saturday. So join us here tomorrow with thanks to our sponsors, Paddy Power. You're back tomorrow. You're back tomorrow. I'm back tomorrow. Join us tomorrow for Good Morning Aintree.